Hey guys, welcome back to the studio. Ryan aka BloodShot Airbrushing, and we are back for the War-hawk. Alright guys, the P40 War-hawk. You guys saw the first tutorials we did with the fairing, where we did some shark teeth, some eyeballs, some exhaust pipes, a couple of here's and there's, and the bike has since been built. So we are going to do a follow-up, guys. You will get to see the whole thing. But in the meantime and in between time, guys, we've been waiting for another very skilled local artist in town here. He's a tattoo artist, Chris Chisholm. I hope I'm saying that right. Very skilled. He is a little more known for the pinup girls. Very stylized. He's definitely got his own style, but it's a beautiful style, guys. So the client is getting tattoos by Chris. He's getting airbrushing by me, and he decided, let's amalgamate the two. Originally, we were going to have Chris do some painting on the gas tanks, but he hasn't done such things in a few years, so he was like, Ryan, are you comfortable working over top of my artwork? I'm like, man, it would be an honor. An honor. So I'm going to bring you guys in, have a look at what he has drafted for us. And as I said, it's very stylized, but the man just nails these pinups, guys. He is a master at body form. I just absolutely adore what he's come up with here, man. And we are going to slap her right onto this gas tank. Now, this was previously painted, guys. So I did get in there. I did do some rivets. I did some paneling. Got some weathering going on here. It did go to the body shop. It got clear coated, guys. And now it's been wet sanded and ready to go for artwork. So I've had to take Chris's ginormous drawing here, guys, and shrink it down with a photocopier. And I got a couple different sizes. Now, when you are doing this type of process, guys, it's good to have options. And would you believe, bigger is better, but you can go too large. And the first one that I put on here was just that. As you can see, we're wrapping around the double edge of the curve here, so we're losing the tail end of that, and then the head would be wrapping around, which is actually going to distort the body. So what we need to do is we need to utilize as much of this flat surface as possible without going too much over top of our double curvature, because we will wind up with distortion. So this was my next size down. And again, still working with a little bit of distortion at the bottom there. I want to do it this size. It would be beautiful this big, but I'm not digging that distortion. Same with the hair and the face, guys. It gets a little wonky on that curve. So next size down from that would be this one. Now, we do want this balm to be on a bit of an angle. We can't have it look like it's floated up. We can't have it look like it's going with the wind. It's got to be dropping, right? So it's got to be... So in order to do so, we do want a bit of an angle, and we are going to fight with a little bit of that hair coming over this double curvature up here, guys. But you know what? Hair doesn't have much form to it as is, so a little bit of distortion isn't going to bother me none. As long as that form, that human form, is not getting distorted by the curvature, guys, I'm a happy camper. So I did get one size smaller, but I think we're going to rock it as big as we can without losing too much of that figure. Alright guys, so this is my size. I believe this is like 65% of the original drawing. Alright, so my next step here, guys, would be to cut some stencils out of my drawing. Being as I have to reproduce this image mirrored on the other side, this is where stenciling really comes in handy, guys, because now I take my outline from one side, couple quick measurements, and it is a complete mirror image on the other side. I don't know why some people think that stenciling is cheating, guys. It's one of those things that's like, it's a tool in the toolbox. If it makes your job a little quicker, break out the tools, man. Would you rather hit the concrete with a hammer or a jackhammer? It just makes no sense, man. Do what you gotta do to achieve your final result. Get it done quickly. If you're doing it to make money, guys, you gotta be efficient. And efficient is key. Stencils give me some efficiency. Alright, guys. I've done a couple videos where I've done some stenciling, so I'm not gonna record this process, but we are gonna have to mask this gas tank. And boom! There you go, guys. Masked out gas tank. I just realized I didn't really record the process, guys, but some of you guys might be interested. So I'm gonna flip you guys up onto the good old tripod, and you guys can see how I do. Alright, guys. Check. It's out. I'll flip her over, and the first thing you're going to want to do is give it a good cleaning, guys. I just used my Fantastik solution. Hit up my airbrushing hack videos if you have no idea what I'm talking about. And onto the masking tape. I like to go right down the center for my first line, and then work down, and then work up from that line. The key here, guys, what I am aiming for, what I am trying to do is avoid too many creases in the tape. So I don't bend the tape. I know there's a lot of guys that will bend it around curvatures. If you try to stretch that tape out too much and you start running your Xacto knife, you'll actually notice that the tape will pull. And your lines won't be exactly from one piece of tape to the other. They won't match exactly because the one has pulled because you tried to stretch it too much. So I just go straight across, and wherever I get too much of an overlap, which will happen when the tape starts to come together and converge upon itself where the double curvatures are, I just grab my handy Xacto knife, guys, my number 11 blade, and I just run my knife against the tape. I'm not cutting anything. I am actually now pulling the tape against the blade. So no scoring of the metal. I'm not even cutting the masking tape beneath it, guys. All I am doing is running my blade adjacent to the line, and as I'm moving that blade, I am pulling the masking tape against it. I hope you understand. I hope you got a good glimpse and you understand what I'm saying. Feel free to hit me up if you have questions, guys. I can do a further tutorial on how I get this achieved. And this is how I do, guys. This is how I avoid having massive creases and massive overlay of tape. So the next thing I do is I take my little claws, alright, I take my nails and I just run them along those seams. And what I am doing is I am pushing the tape over top into the crease of the tape below it. And this aids in preventing bleed throughs, guys, where the paint can actually run along the seam underneath your tape and give you some awkward bleed throughs. Mental note, guys. Alright, guys, now that we got this all masked up, it is time to stencil on our image so that we can cut out our outline. So, I have my stencils cut. I will, I'll run you through them right now, guys. Let me flip you around here. Alright, guys, let's get down to the stencils. Alright, as you can see, I've got a layer cut for the hair. Got a layer cut for the back of the bomb, one for the skin tone, guys, and one for the dress and the beginning of the bomb. But this is my main stencil here, guys. This gives me my outline, so I can put this onto the gas tank, and I know exactly where the placement is. And guys, this is so I can mirror it from one side to the other. And I know, guys, seeing it from this side, you're probably not getting a very good understanding of the time it takes and that I put into my stencils. So let's flip this little chickadee over, and now you can see, guys, the time that was put into all the individual cuts. This is so that it is mapped. I don't have to do any figuring out. Everything is mapped out where I need it. As you can see, guys, I haven't done any placement for the legs or arms or anything because I don't need to. It is all mapped out in my layering stencils. But this gives me all my darks. The starts of where my shadows begin, guys. Rivets, just placement of everything. You see that face? There's no confusion, guys. I can spray from one side to the other. I don't have to be concerned that one eye is a little too high, that the nose isn't matching the other side, guys. All I have to do is get my colors. All the mapping will be identical. Alright, guys. So the next step would be is to get an outline of this little chickadee up onto this gas tank. So what I tend to do is I will take a couple magnets, I will stick her down, and then I'm just going to grab some blue and spray through my airbrush just the outline of this little damsel. Once I'm happy with the placement, I'm still not 100% sure where she will sit in relation to this gas tank. Alright guys, I'm going to figure that out. I will put you back up on the tripod and you can see the next step. Oh yeah. Alright guys, I'm happy with that placement. The hair is getting a little close to the edge of my tape and I don't want blue overspray onto my beautifully painted gas tank, so I'm just going to slap on one more piece of paint. Alright, here's some real time for you guys. So, as you can see, I'm just a couple inches away. I'm keeping the airbrush head on to my stencil. I'm not trying to hit it at any shallow angles. I don't want to push the paint underneath the stencil. I want this to register as a nice solid line. This is our foundation, guys, so this must be as tight as you can get her. If you find that, oops, you had a problem and you got some underspray underneath your stencil, go in with a darker color and just re-register that line. Make sure that you have everything exactly where it needs to be, because this is the point, guys, where if you're gonna make any mistakes, make them early, guys. Make them early. Don't make them late in the process, because, man, you're looking at hours sometimes just for the simplest fix. So, here we go, guys. There is our outline, guys. Now, the next thing to do would be to map this out to the other side. Now, if you are planning to get into this industry, or if you already are, and you don't have some of this stuff, guys, tailor's measuring tape, seamstress measuring tape, get your hands on some. This is a godsend when you are trying to map things out, measure things out on a curved surface. And guys, it's not just a single curve, we're looking at double curves, alright? This will help you out immensely. And what I typically do, guys, is I just take some points that are easily recognizable. So let's say we've got the bottom point of this bomb, we've got the point of her toe, we've got the front of this, we've got the point of this dress. Let's take the interior point right here. We've got her hair, and we've got a couple other nice little areas that we can use to measure to. And what I will do, guys, is take a spot so something you know is on the other side. We've got a hole we can measure to, so we are 19. Alright guys, what I will do is just a quick little 19. Let's go from the middle. Alright, we are at just over 22. And so on and so on. I'm sure you get the gist of it all. The more measurements you have, the better chance you have of getting it exactly where you want it. So sometimes the bottoms of these gas tanks, for most of these gas tanks, it's not symmetrical on the bottom. So even for your bottom measuring, you may want to bring it up to the top. Alright guys, once you're content that you've got some measurements, place her on and make sure she's where you need her. Now, this is one of those take your time steps, guys. Take your time. You may find that you have to move it around quite a bit you may have to find that you have to double check. Going back to your first side, you may have to find that one measurement ain't enough. You might have to measure it to a couple different points. Alright guys, once you're happy with it, spray on. Once you've got her all mapped out, your next step is to cut it out with an Xacto knife. I like to start every project with a brand new blade. So my knife is pretty sharp and I am barely putting the weight of my fingers, the weight of my hand, and I'm just allowing that blade just to cut through that masking tape and not score too much the surface of the gas tank. Alright warriors, we are just gonna breeze through this section. I don't know that there's much to gain from seeing me do this in real time. I'm just chasing the Xacto knife, chasing the lines that I've already got on there, trying not to cut too hard. The last thing you want to do is to peel up that base paint underneath, and believe me guys, I've been there, I've done it. It sucks, but until you get that feel for that blade, just go as light as you can. You may find you might have to chase it over once or twice, possibly 3 times. I think if you've done it 3 times and you're going way too light. But it's all trial and error, guys. Everything that I'm teaching you, everything that I'm showing you guys has all been learned through trial and error. And the reality is you are gonna have to go through a little bit of that yourselves. I'm hoping I can save you some time by giving you some forewarning, guys, some prior knowledge before you get out and embark on tackling these types of processes yourself. I hope this does get you at least to try it. Maybe if you were a little afraid to tackle it before, now you're a little less. Guys, you know how I roll. If there's anything that you need, hit me up in the comments. I hope that you are taking something from this, but I know sometimes I take for granted all the stuff that I just do. And here I am doing my thing again, guys. So I like to start with my masking paper and start on the top, wrap it around. I only use the regular masking tape to tack it down on the edges, and then I get in there with a thicker 1.5" tape to seal up any of the holes, any of the rips. I like to reinforce the front and the back of the tank with my 1.5" masking tape. Usually when I'm moving the tanks around, that's where I grab them, so I like to have the tape just to reinforce that masking paper. And now guys, we are into the Auto Air Opaque White, and I'm gonna go straight in the brush. I am not thinning it out at all. And first things first, I'm going to make sure all my edges are nicely pressed down. There is nothing that got lifted in the process of me peeling up the tape I didn't want. And I am just going to keep that airbrush and just blow over the whole surface, making sure there's no little pieces of lint or anything else on the surface before I start to spray, guys. And now just light coats, doing the 50-50 rule, kind of every overpass goes 50% over the pass prior, and you just slowly bring it up, chasing your edges, and be careful not to go too heavy on your edges. I like to kind of build it up in the middle. And yes, I got a little bit ahead of myself here, guys, and almost neglected to do the shoe and the 2 maple leaves that we have on this this image. Yeah, she's fallen so fast, she lost her shoe. Alright, guys. And so I'm just going to quickly blast in some blue on them. Going to cut them out with the blade, as you can plainly see. And then we'll get back in with our whites. So as I was saying about the white, my first coat, guys, I'm just looking for a nice, even consistency. I'm not trying to build it up real quick, guys. Building it up actually kind of slow for the first part, just to make sure I've got an even, consistent coat over the entire thing. That's kind of your foundation coat, guys. So now what you see me do here is I am pulling back on that needle chuck which is pulling that needle all the way out of that nozzle and giving me max power. Alright guys, this is as much paint as this brush will throw. And this is how I do my big areas. This is also how I go through paint really quickly. So once I've got that coat on, which we'll call the second, now I go in, I thin it out guys, because I do not want to build it up too heavy. What happens is with your masking tape, you build that paint up too thick, too heavy onto that edge, and once you peel up your masking tape, well, two things can happen. And the first one, guys, can be an absolute nightmare. So what happens is if you get that paint too thick, it will build a bridge between the surface that you're painting and your surface on top of your masking tape. So when you go to peel that masking tape, rather than a nice separation where your edge should be, well, it's bridged and it will want to peel the paint off your surface as you're peeling off the masking tape. Yeah, that sucks, guys, especially if you spend a lot of time to get some real clean edges and you got a lot of different colors on top of that white. So remember, don't build it up too heavy around your edges, and that trails right into problem number 2, guys. Edges. You build up those edges too thick. When you peel off your tape, you'll notice that there is a lip where your paint now sits on. If you have to mask over top or do any imagery over top of that, your edges will fight through unless you sand them down. But the person coming in doing the clear coats over top is gonna curse your name, guys, because, well, they now have to bury that paint and bury that lip, which means access clear. Too much clear means easily chipped. So, you know, keep it easy on yourself. If you're not sure, go a little lighter, man. You don't have to have it crazy bright white, guys. You just need it bright enough so that your colors have something to build off of. This is your foundation, and once you start getting in your colors, what you kind of want to do is save your whites. So transparency is key. And if you notice, this is coat 4. I let her dry, flipped her over, and just gave her one quick coat to each side, and there she be. Alright guys, there you have it. I'm gonna let that sit. You can pretty much let that sit for 20 minutes, half an hour. Should be dry, ready to work on. I like to let it sit for a little bit longer, guys. I don't want to scratch it while I am messing around with my stencils and my layers. So we'll get back at this probably tomorrow. Alright guys, as always, drop me a line if you have any questions, if you have any comments. You know, I love the feedback, guys. Stay tuned for the next one. We will get right back at this. We will start adding some color. I know this was a longer one, guys. I'm still playing with this channel, seeing what gravitates and what doesn't, what you guys like and what you guys don't. So, feedback, feedback, feedback. Alright, guys, as always, like, follow, subscribe. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Cheers. And be sure to swing by the channel, guys, to check out my other airbrushing tutorials. And if you want to be first in line for the next new video, hit that notification bell, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Cheers.